Everyone see my screen?
Yeah.
Yes.
Cool. I won't linger on this too long since I think everyone here knows the drill. But I'll put all of the links that I'm about to go through in chat as soon as I'm done clearing these slides. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for coming to, I think, our second BYO-GPT lab. Following on from the success of the first one, we're really glad that you're all here. Um, I say this every time, but we have a new shared Google Calendar for Go-to-Market AI Labs. I'll put the link in chat, but please add it to your calendar. Going forward, we're going to phase out the email invitations. So please add this to your calendar. Um, we're talking about go-to-market AI today. I would be remiss if I didn't mention that Scale has a bunch of go-to-market AI companies in our portfolio. If you wish to be connected with any of them, I'm your man. Put my email in the chat. Let's celebrate our Discord commenter of the week, who has joined us today.
Bubbles, take
Uh,
note.
Oh man.
Yeah,
Oh
I'm trying
boy.
to do a new image every time. But it's worth our time to spend just 2 minutes celebrating Anton, who I think has been one of our top contributors in the Discord basically since day one, and also on these live sessions. And over the past couple weeks, Anton had the generosity to respond to my query about some build versus buy data we're seeing in our latest state of AI and go-to-market survey. Added some really great insights on how he's thinking about the build versus buy paradigm, and then he's also hopped in on the AI SDR thread, which has been really active this week. So kudos to you, Anton. You've added a lot of
I
insight to the
appreciate the
Discord.
picture most of all, but thanks for the recognition.
Oh, there's well,
This is a
there's
great community. So grateful to be here at the start, weightlifting right now.
I appreciate that. There's one more photoshopped image
Oh
of
God.
you just to represent that you're going to get some swag. I'll email you a little form for you to fill out with your address and size and everything. But
Amazing.
we've got
Thank
some
you.
cool Vori sweatshirts headed your way.
Awesome. I'm excited about that one, especially because when Pete showed the cool swag, I think he's wearing it now,
Oh,
the scale.
yes.
So the day I got that one, my next door neighbor's puppy put a fat hole in one of the pockets, so it only has one pocket at the moment. So I'm grateful to get a new sweater.
Ouch.
This is
Oh, ouch.
opportune.
There you go.
All right,
Nothing like keeping people dressed in the finest.
there we go. There we go. Well, thank you.
Awesome. Well, it looks like we have a few more participants, and folks are still joining, but I'm really excited to jump in today's conversation. But Mark, did we have a poll we want to post first,
Yes,
real
we have a
quickly?
very quick poll. I'm going to launch it right now. I think it should take everyone like 1 minute to fill out. And we're experimenting with the Zoom poll function, so let me know if that
Yeah.
isn't popping up on your screen. Cool. All right.
Yep, we got it.
And with these polls, we're going to package these up and share the insights back out to this group in Discord. So you will all profit from your peers' responses.
This is a good one. Actually, this is a very timely one for today.
Very timely.
Is the fourth question, how many do you use regularly? Are those custom GPTs or just GPTs in general?
Custom GPTs or GPTs that you found in the marketplace that
Okay.
you found useful.
Yeah, like we use Perplexity 4.0 Claude, and then we have two custom ones. So should I say
Yeah.
five? 3 to 5? Okay.
Yeah,
For
Okay.
yeah, right.
Thank you.
that's awesome. All right. Hopefully everyone is done with the poll. But so for those that just joined, so today we're doing BYO-GPT, which is a repeat or a reprise of a popular session we did, I don't know, maybe a month or two ago, Mark. And
Yep.
the goal is here, normally we bring folks to show and tell, and it's a little more in depth. They show how they built the thing, they show what the results are, but sometimes folks are just looking for good ideas. And so we want this to be a little bit of a lighter share, but we'd love to hear from everybody what you're creating, what you're using regularly, what's working for you, etc. So I've got a couple to share. I know Pete has a couple to share, and I'm sure a bunch of you have a bunch to share. So I'll just start by opening it up, and if nobody jumps in, I'll share one of mine. But who's using a cool GPT? Tell us about it.
I can jump in.
Yeah, go for it, Anton.
Yeah, so I work at Hewlett Packard Enterprise. So we don't do anything quickly, but we finally have a chat GPI internal, I guess. So
Okay.
really creative with the name or chat HP. They should have done chat HPE, but I just work here. And so great, except it doesn't, they don't want us using external chatbots effectively, right?
Sure.
Which is never going to work. Everybody, of course, is still using external chatbots. And so I think we're slowly turning the tide on that, but we're using 4.0 to do a lot of external resource. So I have a prompt library of about 25 prompts that we use
Okay.
for different accounts. And then we have on chat on Perplexity and ChatGPT. And then I have been fiddling with N8N, although I'd be curious to hear anybody's take on the pricing changes this week with the self-hosting, because now the pricing seems like it's gone through the roof. So what used to maybe cost $50, if I try to scale, this is now going to cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. So maybe an aside, but Bubbles, get back to me on that. But I think the cool part is we've now figured out a way using N8N to do the 25 prompts, put that
Okay.
into a Word doc with the external public facing information about a prospect, right? So let's say we have
Okay.
50 accounts that we're going after in the Houston area for oil and gas. So I went in and looked in Sales Navigator. There are 760 machine learning engineers in Houston area for oil and gas across 120 different companies. We did out some of
Okay.
the ones, but then we wanted to do research profiles on all of them to understand how advanced they were in their AI journey, et cetera. And so then we did all the external information. And then I took that and used ChatGPI, where we have that connected to our Salesforce, and said, okay, what is the spend of each account? So we understand our current relationship with them. Are they what's called a greenlight customer, which is a financial engine that we use internally, but that means that the IT already understands our construct and they may even be paying it as OpEx, which is great for us. Because if I can find out they're behind on their spend, do they have any open late stage opportunities? Because unlike I'm guessing a lot of you, we have to look and see because there's maybe 60 different people selling that account something. So we need to make sure we're not like air traffic control. But it's a great way now that we finally have, we've been doing the external facing information, but now we can upload the document automatically into Chat GPI and then look at that and cross-reference that and say, okay, this is a great account from the outside. What does it look like from the inside? And then our next move is going to be doing that and also understanding and adding the partner layer to it. So I'm excited that
That's
feels
cool.
like we're finally like I think everybody's using ChatGPT somewhat as a search engine thing, but we've got the search engine piece down. We've added some automation to it to make this very quick so that my team is now spending time building the narrative for each person that they're going after, and also doing that with the context of our internal um, Salesforce,
That's
which is
amazing.
a train wreck. But at least if we can get some of the answers out of it, it's great.
Yeah. That, it's worth noting because I think we know in our research that we've recently done that account research is one of the most common use cases
Right.
for go-to-market teams. But it's worth remembering that it's also one of the most important.
Most
So
valuable. Yeah,
even though it's
totally.
the one we gravitated to, there's a lot of iteration happening in how folks are doing it and the depth and where they're looking and how they're articulating and structuring the information that comes back. So I think that's really cool. It's worth not just sort of setting it and forgetting it, but how do we continuously improve that so that the information returned is useful?
And
Talk,
I'll maybe drop it
yeah.
in the Discord. I'm good with one sweater. I don't need another one, but I'll try to drop in the like a visual, a diagram of like, hey, this is the
Oh,
steps of
that'd
the
be
process. I'll
awesome.
try to diagram it out on Lucid Chart because I'm trying to get funding for it as well. But
That's awesome.
for me at least, Clay, we've had conversations with this group with Clay in the past. Clay sounds great. It looks interesting. I've tried to consult and have other people use it, but HPE is like, yeah, that sounds great. Let's look at it in fiscal year 29, 4 years from now.
Yeah,
So it's just not on the table for me.
sure, sure.
This is my own
Tomas,
time.
did you have something? It looks like you came off mute.
Anton, how do you make that information available to your team?
Which information?
Basically, all the account research you're giving inside, outside, and then how do you make that available for them? I mean,
Yeah, so the I literally had to export. We have a certain subset of customers that we thought would be priority customers. So exported that out of an Excel list, and then had the domain and the account name, and a bunch of other information that wouldn't be relevant, frankly, to an LLM or anything else, but that's how we operate. So they got me a list, and then I built this workflow with a couple of other guys on our team who are pretending to be GTM engineers, and so we we had, like I said, I built an Excel list of the prompts and used that point N8N at that, and then hey, for these domains, please go and do, find the answers for these, and it does a decent job, right? Like it's not it's approximal, but for us, I have a team of 7 globally who are doing this. I have a larger team, but a team of 7 globally who are doing this, and there's, obviously plenty of accounts per rep. So I don't care. I'm just looking for like, yeah, give me the
Yeah.
rough outline for this. So it actually works very, very well. And it then puts in, we're a Microsoft shop. So then it puts that document into a SharePoint that everybody has access to. And I'm working on getting those posted back to the account so that anybody can see them
Yes.
who's on the account. But again, like I'm probably having problems that not a lot of other people have with the scale and size and infosec and just
Mm.
sales operations difficulty of getting that connected back. So it's in a public space, quote unquote. And like my teams, you can think of them as AEs and solutions architects and everybody, they know where those are. And so I also then had it drop it into a Slack channel whenever there is a new one. So if people want to go Command F in that Slack channel and find for the company, that's typically now the outlet that people are using. Like, oh, is there one for this? Or they'll
Do research that we automated for every new demo coming in the books.
Yeah, perfect.
We automate the, yep, the research on the account, what's going on, who are the personas, who are the key stakeholders, what they care about, and all of that. Then we also propose potential use cases they should pitch. And then also gather all the marketing context, like what drove them to convert, what is top of mind for them. We put all of that, we do the deep research document into Google Docs, and then do a one pager for them, and then add that link into the demo, back to the demo. So then basically they just show up, opens the demo as link, click that, reads the whole thing. And so instead of spending 15, 30 minutes in that research, just spends like a few minutes.
Are
Yeah,
you using
we've
AI
been.
to
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
recommend the use cases?
Yes,
Yeah,
Yeah,
nice.
based
we
How
we
on,
do
did,
the exact same thing. Art of the
yeah.
possible. Here's what we do is we say here's the and I can walk you guys through this if you're ever interested. But here's the account. Here's a high level, and we don't go too heavy on this, but we know that there are EAMs, account managers on our side that have been working with Rite Aid for 22 years. So we're not going to teach them anything about the high level of the account, but it shows them that we understand their account. And then we'll say, okay, well, then here are their priorities through the 10Ks, through the executive, press releases, executive mentions. Here are their high level priorities. And we sell something that enables AI. So then we say, okay, well, how does AI fit into that? So here are some of the art of the possible use cases. Can we validate or see any of that in the LinkedIn profiles of the practitioners? Like, are they doing any of those things? And then, nope, they're not. Or here's how the AI might fit in. And then here's how other people are doing this, or here's how, their competitors or the market is already doing some of this, so that we have something to speak to. And we're actually experimenting with taking that a step further to try to help, because the average fluency about AI in HPE is not high, because they're used to selling servers every 5 years. They're used to having automatic at bats. Oh, if a couple innings go by, I'll have another set at the plate. That's not what this market is at all. So we're actually building potentially microsites by account. We're using a litany of tools, but I can walk you guys through that, where it's, hey, here's what we see is going on with the account. Here's what we think the priorities are. Here's what we know. Here's what that, and we're actually now making that customer facing, so that people at that customer can potentially see, this is why we have the take that we do. This is what we've learned. This is what we see. And they'll come in, and it's actually great as a place to start the conversation. Like, where were we wrong? Because people love to talk about themselves. Like, what did we miss? What are we not understanding? Like, it looks like this from the outside, but it's a great way to show them that we're invested in that account specifically.
mhm.
And again, if you can automate a lot of this, then it doesn't take.
When
Years.
we automated the second One thing is like pre-demo research. The other one, what we do now is with all the sales, the transcription data, we then evaluate how they did and how did they pitch our
Mm.
product, and basically we're now launching two different new products. So all that new pitch, you have to train them and all of that. We can actually have real-time data on and score them, and then provide coaching opportunities, like real-time coaching opportunities. So that's pretty good.
That's
Nice.
very cool. That sort of dovetails into another use case we're seeing a lot of, which is how can we better leverage AI to make our sellers their absolute best in every conversation? Can you speak more about that, Tomas? Like how are you guys enabling that? What tools are you using?
We use Outreach.
Mhm.
So we set up a server-side integration, basically getting all the transcriptions at scale to a AWS bucket, and then we run ChatGPT. I can't remember which model, but like we do that through code, and then create. Basically, we have a blueprint or a certain way we should, like a recommended pitch, right? So then based on how they pitched, we compare that, and then they ask the AI as well for, hey, how can, where did they miss? What can we improve this? And what were the top use cases? So think about, like, one thing is specifically for training, specifically for the AI,
Mhm.
but also for marketing, especially to connect the feedback loop for marketing. So important to get that qualitative feedback that it's usually lost through the, ladder. So
Okay.
we ask, like, okay, what are the top use cases per persona you're seeing? What are some pain points? Who are the different personas? What's the sales motion like? What's the timeline? What's the size of the deals? Like, there's so much intel you can gather. Um,
Mhm.
and basically, we use it for both folds, basically.
That's super cool. That's super cool. Yeah, it's a good reminder. Mark, Neil Harrington, if you guys were on a few sessions ago, shared how he's doing something similar with his teams, doing things like deal and pipeline analysis. It's another angle to the rep coaching piece, which is really interesting. All right, who else has got one? Kat, how about you? I'm going to start just like bringing more people into the conversation here.
Awesome. I have quick 5 minutes because I have to go record a podcast. I have been researching, I haven't used it yet, but I've been researching actively AI for that
Okay.
exact reason, around being able to train AEs, but also being able to look at like the company's data that you're breaking into, what your CRM has, what past conversations you've had, and being able to prompt AEs and BDRs on what they should be doing next with those
Mm,
particular accounts. And from my understanding, it also provides that prioritized list of other contacts that they can call, not only in that account, but in other accounts that they may not have been targeting initially. So part of it is being able to understand that quality over quantity, because I think a lot of the times we know this that AEs are past BDRs and SDRs, and they're very focused on volume and wanting to get as many meetings as possible, and they just try to hit up whoever they can. This allows them to become a little bit more prioritized in their outreach. And it prompts them. I think sometimes people go down a path, and especially AEs, and they're like, I'm only going to focus on this person, when maybe there's actually a different decision maker that they should be focused on. So for me, it seems to be a tool that allows, a salesperson to come in and use all of the data, take everything from Zoom Info, take everything from your CRM, and then gives you those decision makers and allows you to figure out who to contact next, and hopefully shorten your sales cycle a little bit. So it's an interesting tool. Like I said, I haven't used it, so I don't know if anybody else here has, but it's like a way to get smart signals into your sales team and not just from like the marketplace from a bunch of different areas.
yeah, that's very cool. That brings up a good point. What other tools? I mean, we talk a lot about building here, but are there other tools folks are evaluating right now? Maybe as a result of NAN's pricing increase or things like that. Go ahead, Jonathan.
Yeah, I'm not sure if you guys heard of a company called Emergent. They just
Mm,
within 2 months they hit 10 million ARR. Very brand new company. I believe they're from YC. Um, tested the system. It's basically a no code, the whole no code development. I was
Hmm.
able to so I was playing around with LinkedIn. I was like, how do I find more prospects and how do I engage with a certain post that people are putting in or a prospect of mine is actually putting in? Normally I would just copy paste it, push it to GPT, find out what would be some value I could actually put in with my company. So I tried playing around and start building it through Emergent. Within like half an hour, it came up with a full tool that I could use where I just copy paste the system and then it pulls all the data for me. So the next layer, obviously, where
Whoa.
I probably require an engineer, it's being able to kind of connect it directly into a Chrome extension. So that way you can just pull it up directly from LinkedIn. But the tool is actually pretty cool. I would recommend checking it out.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it
But
sounds.
sorry?
No, sorry. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, no, because this kind of sparked like I've been on pretty unique journey of building a tool of my own as well, where it's more around insights, specifically more around the life assistant, especially for sales team. So your sales team are not saying, "Let me get back to you because they don't know roadmap," or "Let me get back to you because I need to ask my AE as a BDR." So we're actually releasing a beta version hopefully by next week around this tool specifically, where it lives in your desktop, be able to kind of pull on and pull off at any time without much integration required because it's a desktop app where it can actually help you listen, summarize for you, and also give you insight live on the call with you, or drafting some specific email, or it's like the Siri of like your desktop, in other words. So,
Hmm.
uh, would love obviously to get some of your inputs, some of the leaders here as well around that once we actually launch it.
Jonathan, just a follow-up question on what you just said. With the app that you just developed, is that something that you have to add to meetings with your sales team or for it to work?
No,
So how does it get its input?
so it's gonna pick on two things. So one was gonna be from audio, so your computer audio. So whether you're listening or you're on video cam, like for example, in this case, it's gonna be active. You can actually active listen if you want to click that. You can
Like a
actively
granola or something like that where it's not
something
recording.
like this on the back end,
Yeah.
right? So
Yep.
that's one layer of things, and then the other layer is video. Forgot what my developer mentioned. It's like specifically within the video screen. So if it's capturing, for example, if you're on HubSpot, it captures which contact you're going to be speaking with. And the next layer, most likely is going to be a version 2 on our end, is being able to pull the data from HubSpot by looking at it and give you insights of the conversation you're going to have. So if I'm going to be calling, let's say, Christina, you're in my HubSpot, the
Hmm.
system basically is able to kind of see your profile in HubSpot with that integration and that view will be able to kind of pull insights from existing conversation that you have. Similar to like what Cloud is doing right now with that direct integration with HubSpot and pulling certain contacts. But I know there's a lot of limitation with Cloud around what data is being pulled in, especially if you're not the one sending the email. It's not going to pull in the data on your end, right? So it requires multiple connections. But yeah, so it's basically audio and visual.
Okay. And how much
That's super
development
cool.
did you have to go through to what was the extent of the customization that you needed to do?
Um, I mean, we made a pivot. Originally, when we first built the product, my main solve was like BDR. How do I ramp BDRs like within a week rather than three months? I'm in an industry where it's very complex, where even up to today, I've been in the industry for 4 years. The transportation industry, it's not a 4 year learning curve. It's like a 15-year learning curve, right? So I do hire a lot of BDRs, and my use case was how do I ramp my BDRs who's never been in tech, never made any sale, or now you have to learn the industry. You also have to learn tech. How do I ramp them up faster? So the initial idea started with that. It's like, hey, if I have my manager beside me at every call that I have, things would have been so much easier if I have a developer right beside me, or if I have someone with 25 years experience right beside me to help me answer some of the questions live. Why not we start with that? So that was the initial talk track. So we made a pivot multiple times, and now I think this is where that's one of the feature that's going to be in the system. But eventually as well, what we want to do is like eliminate any of the manual tests that the reps actually have to do, whether it's like updating HubSpot because after the call, they picked up what technology you're using, right? Or they picked up what challenges or what things that needs to be put to the roadmap or PFTs that needs to be submitted. So we're trying to eliminate those parts as well on the post sale.
Got it. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's very cool. Oh, Kat, did you want to comment on there's some chatter
Oh, no,
going
I
on
was
in the
just
chat
gonna
as well. This is a
say,
good one.
yeah, I think that using AI SDRs, and then I do have to drop. AI SDRs for inbound is huge. I think it's just a quick way to make your marketing team deliver more ROI for your marketing team. Let's do that. Like, let's build that alignment with them because, SDRs and BDRs tend to call a lead 2 times and then they're like, oh, they're not picking up. So at least this AI SDR can actually get you through. I think Artisan's fabulous. I don't know if I would want to build one on my own if other companies have already done that, unless there's like something super specific that's different about your inbound leads that the world doesn't know about. And maybe that's what you should be building for and talking about is how to improve that one piece of your marketing campaign. But I wouldn't build something that's already built and spend your time on that. I would build something else similar to what Jonathan's talking about here. And I think that also AI SDRs allow you to take that money that you would normally put budget into for inbound SDRs, and you can convert that and really hone in on outbounding. Then that way the company sees you as more of a strategic leader as well versus just someone who wants to call through inbound leads.
Did that answer your question, Tom?
Yeah, great. Um, you have a great point there on the buy versus build. And apparently, artisan is the preferred buy in that case.
Yeah. I would also say this too. I mean, I hear a lot of us talking here about building out these AI apps. Part of me also is willing to take some of my budget and say, I won't need a BDR or an SDR. I actually need an AI ops person that's dedicated to my organization that only focuses on all of these tools because all the time that you're spending on your tools is taking you away from being with your team and mentoring your team, and this individual can actually help you understand what tools you already have that have AI in it. I'm a big proponent of using what you have and maximizing it. And if it doesn't work, then go out and hunt for a new tool. But I would put money into really hiring someone that handles all of this for you, that reports into you if you can.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's also worth noting in our research, like we see right now, we surveyed everyone who took our go-to-market AI survey. We surveyed them on this buy versus build question, and there were actually three. There was like build your own, there was buy a standalone native AI tool, or buy your sort of existing tech stack with AI layered in. And it was about a third, a third, a third. And so what we're taking away from that is there's like the answer right now is not buy or build, it's buy and build, but figuring out which are the things where it's
Oop. We
a specific use
I think
case to your organization. That's when you build. That's when you really try to get in there and customize it to your needs. So I think it's worth sort of always considering what are the things that you can use those standalone tools for, so you don't have that extra maintenance and extra upkeep for you and your team on those things.
I do think it also speaks to the next generation of BDRs, SDRs, though, that get hired. I mean, I've been hiring former data scientists on my team
Hmm.
because they
Hmm.
understand the problem and they've lived it, and that's helped with the empathy gap. But I think the unintended benefit of that has been when we are thinking about systems. I am not an engineer. Everybody on this call who knows me more than 3 minutes can tell you that. But I think the point that I'm really seeing a value in, and I've been reading a lot of engineering books the last 6 months, is trying to understand running a sprint because my team's job, I'm building universal basic income because these automatic research profiles are happening. The automatic messaging is going out. It's generating meetings, which is normally what your classical BDR gets paid on. But now we're trying experiments like, is it better for us to go after early stage AI companies because they're more receptive to have the conversation, but they won't understand the value and the complexity and the costing associated with buying AI things? So we're going to have more tire kickers. And is our sales team up to snuff and helping like weed those out and qualify? Or is it better for us to go after, so my point is like, we're really trying to run experiments and change who I have been hiring in terms of the profile, which is a
Yeah.
whole other probably ball of wax to talk about. But I think this is also what we're seeing is to Catherine's point, the amount of time spent in tooling and trying to build experiments and trying to measure that and figuring that out is far from the like daily metrics game.
Yeah, that's a great point. All right. Who else has more ideas to share? I'll share one maybe real quick that I'm now doing with more portfolio companies, which is as a leader, it's very, very helpful sometimes to be able to engage and brainstorm with someone who thinks like you. And so I've been helping folks create AI chiefs of staff, where it's like, what is the main thing in your role that you're trying to do every day? Like, for example, for me, keeping up with news and what's happening in AI and how it affects go to market is like its own job in and of itself. And so I built a chief of staff that literally gives me daily, weekly, monthly status reports of what's changing and how that might impact the various use cases that we have. That's just one example. I know other CMOs who are creating marketing assistants where it's like, great, like this is the person who's going to brainstorm and figure out all my campaign stuff, or this is the GPT I can go to help me figure out this particular part of my role. But thinking about chunking out the different parts of your role, the different individual things that you're like, that's really hard for me to stay on top of or really hard for me to synthesize. That is an absolutely great use case for custom GPTs. So that one I've been really geeking out about lately.
What was your underlying GPT for that?
I just used ChatGPT
Okay.
and the custom GPTs. Yeah. And depending on, I think when I originally created it, it was before the 5 release, the GPT-5 release. So what I'm noticing, and I'm curious if they'll update this, is old GPTs leverage old models. And so I don't know if I have to recreate them with GPT-5, but I might because 5 has been so interesting. So we'll see. But I just use custom GPTs for that.
Very cool. That's a cool use
Great
case.
idea. Christina, do you hook that up to like your email and calendar too? Or yeah.
It depends. I haven't yet on this particular one. It's newer, but that's next. Actually, Pete, why don't you share yours? Because I think like your newsletter one is a really good idea
Yeah.
for folks. We all sign up for so many newsletters and rarely have time to read them, but yet still want to be able to get the good insights from them.
Yeah, I need to go redo this one because I am like even further behind than when I wrote this one. So I need to
Yeah, I get
need to go
that.
do it again. So here, in fact, I think I shared this in the Discord, but it's kind of worth coming back to. Can you guys see this okay? I'm just gonna blow it up a little
Yeah.
bit. So I literally went so long. And in fact, like I said, I need to really make this like July 31st, probably. And number one, this exposes some of the newsletters I love. So if you're not on Ethan Malick's One Useful Thing, highly recommend it on Substack. It's just so good. He's a Wharton professor, and he tests things with real world scenario kinds of things. And he has lots of screenshots, and it's like not produced really well. So you can see it's like authentic, but you get so much out of it. Highly, highly, highly recommend it. This first round is really good. It's more about like early stage startups. And then these two down here, Lenny, I don't know if you listen to Lenny's podcast. So good, especially if you're in like product. And then these two here, Kyle Poyar and then Pale, I'm forgetting his name now. They do a lot on go-to-market, on pricing strategy, on sales and marketing strategy. And this one here is Maya. I'm forgetting her last name, but that's her brand is GTM Strategist. So I'll punch these in the Discord also. So we have those as well. So what I did here is I just said, hey, number one, you've got to make sure that you've got your apps connected. Connected apps. Okay, and more. Right, okay, here. So I've already connected Google Drive, and I also, when it did that, it did Gmail as well. And so all I did was say, hey, look through my email from the senders below between these two dates. And then I gave it the senders. And then I said, okay, look, I just want the body, because remember, these email newsletters have a lot of extra crud in them. So just exclude all the intros, the signatures, sponsor ads, blah, blah, blah. And then go ahead and take everything, group it into themes as follows, right? What are the go-to-market strategies, pricing, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Provide some consolidated takeaways per theme. And then do me a favor and highlight the recurring patterns. And then, if possible, give me the public link so I can go search it a little bit deeper. And then importantly, I'm starting to do this more and more. You guys have probably noticed when you hit copy and you paste it, it comes like with a bunch of hashtags and all sorts of funky. That's markdown format. I don't know if y'all are aware of that or not, but more and more, this is kind of the lingua franca format for AI. And so I just force it to give it to me in Markdown so that wherever I paste it, almost everything can interpret Markdown. But if you don't say it, it might do a mix of Markdown and some other things that makes pasting it a little bit weird. And so I just do that. And so then it just went ahead and did it. And I think I had to do it again, but it ultimately produced this digest of newsletters, right, from April to June. And, it's showing the different Gmails that it pulled from here and just gave me this entire, this is long, just gave me this entire sort of summary, right? So I can go in and get this digest read or whatever. And sometimes I just punch this in and I'll have it read this to me while I'm in the car. I'll just start voice mode and then I'll have it read this to me. So it's like I've created almost like Notebook LM. I've created my own podcast, but this way it's just kind of reading this all off to me.
It's awesome. Pete, lots of folks are asking if you could share that prompt. Yeah, definitely share it in the Discord, because this is, I think, again, we all get so many newsletters, right? And it's really, really hard to pull out those nuggets that we think might be useful. And by the way, a lot of them repeat things, especially AI newsletters today. It's like everybody's talking about GPT-5 and it's like, okay, we don't need them to repeat the same stuff, but sometimes they have an interesting fresh take or they used it in an interesting way. And that's the nugget that we want.
I just thought of it. I am literally going to launch a small SaaS app called My Tech Digest. You'll subscribe to it. You'll just tell it. You'll input it. Redirect. You just add redirects for your emails, and it'll create a digest for you, so you don't have to read each one separately.
Perfect.
I love
there you
it.
go.
I'm going to build that. I'm going to use where was it? I'm going to use Jonathan. I'm going to use Emergent for that. There you go. I'll build the app.
There you go. That'll be a good reason to play with it. I love that. It's awesome.
Yeah. So questions about that one, and I'll just show you one other kind of thing I did. It's a little gravy on top, but I got to find it first. Questions on that?
That was cool. You've definitely got some requests to share it in Discord, please.
Okay. All right. Awesome.
We did lose Bubbles. Sorry, Anton. We did lose the Bubbles, the note taker. Maybe while we're on that, while you're pulling that up, Pete, feel free to share more GPTs, folks. But does anybody else have newsletters not mentioned that you feel like have been game changers for you in the go-to-market AI conversation? I do love the How I AI. It's just so fun. It's just incredible.
Oh yeah. Okay, here let me just. Oh yeah, I got it. Okay, so I'll share this again. You guys want to see this? Okay, so I don't know if it's the same. I don't know if it's the same period, but one of the things I love about Gemini.
We're not seeing your screen.
I'm about to. Yeah, I'm about to.
Okay, got it.
Yeah. So one of the things I love about Gemini, I should just close this for a second, is that it creates these wonderful artifacts. Claude is good at it too. I just find Gemini is better, and it just gives better ways of exporting. So anyway, I just gave it the markdown file from ChatGPT, and I said, give me an interactive view for it. And so it built this. And so now you can go in and there's hyperlinks. It did a implementation priority matrix based on like what events are happening more frequently. I have to go back and look at that one. And then it just did this beautiful layout, right? Of here are the top stories, right? Like Claude, Cursor, Replit, et cetera, et cetera. Here's some case studies that are available now, what the bottom line was and so forth. And you can, I think some of these, you can read more and then it pops up. I don't know if you're seeing that, but it just pops up in the original. Yeah. So I just really love this.
This was the same prompt, but you took it over to Gemini and asked.
Yeah, no. I didn't use Gemini for it. I just was lazy. So I just copied the output of ChatGPT and I threw it into the other one. Mostly because so we have Workspace at work. And because of that, we have the pro version of Gemini. And so a lot of times I'll just defer to that. And so I'll just, use it there because my newsletters go to my personal, not my scale one. So I have to do it in the other one to get the
Got it.
newsletter summary. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway,
You have
just
your
thought I'd
first
show you that.
subscriber. Jonathan has said he will be your first
Oh my God,
subscriber.
this is going to be
Pretty
ready
cool.
Monday.
Yeah, it's just automated, right? Like it's
Oh
a
my
quick.
God, I'm totally doing it. Okay, you guys in Discord, I need to do a poll. Someone make a poll for the naming. I don't know how to do, we should do a poll for the naming of the app. We will all
Yeah.
be founders in it. We'll all be
There
founders.
you go.
Come on, let's do it.
It's very
That's
similar to how TLDR? No,
Yeah,
TLDR.
I've heard of
TLDR.
that.
Yeah,
I've
it's
never
similar to
used
them,
it.
right? Short read, very quick. I don't have time to read like a whole essay, right? So
Yep.
Oh, I have to look at that.
Yep.
I've heard of it. I've never looked at that though. TLDV.
TLDR, I think actually it's called.
TLDR.
DR, yeah. TLDV is the
Yeah.
recording.
Oh, you're right. That's right. Yeah. Okay.
I
Yeah,
do
thank you
recommend
for-
if you guys haven't heard, have you guys heard of Ruben Hassit by any chance?
Mm-mm.
Let me send you
Tell
his
us more.
profile. This guy is a pretty cool. He sends a lot of like good hacks basically of AI, especially around prompting.
Okay.
Something I've been trying to experiment is, at least right now, outreach has been pretty. You see a lot of outreach done on LinkedIn, and how do you
Uh-huh.
utilize your profile? How do you utilize the people that you're engaging and communicating? So this guy actually just posted something recently around pulling your LinkedIn profile. There's a lot of data in LinkedIn that LinkedIn actually provides that you can actually scrape, push it to GPT or create some sort of like scraping, and then be able to kind of find your ICP basically within your connections or followers, which is a pretty interesting one.
That is super cool. That is super cool. And anyone who, if you haven't already tried them, there are a bunch of emerging standalone tools for your LinkedIn as a channel, like an outreach channel. I do wonder, we saw this with the early sales engagement platforms of like, will they get shut down if they get big enough because they're violating the terms and conditions? But in the interim, they've actually been pretty cool. There's been some interesting ones. So like La Growth Machine does that. HeyReach does that, where it just enables you to get to folks within those. Now, they're really great if you've got a lot of connections too that you're trying to comb for various activities. But they can also be great for getting to second and third connections if you've got the right navigator permissions. But it's pretty cool.
One other use case that we found useful just to kind of share on custom GPTs is we set up a competitive GPT and have a workflow with N8N that actually allows us to
Awesome.
troll through and find out all the press releases, all the news, blogs, etc., that competitors are doing, and come up with a competitive digest every week, every day if you want that frequency as well. So it's a very easy way for you to not have to set up Google alerts and things like that, and just collect all this information and produce a digest.
That's really cool. And then sharing that with the team for
Yeah.
them to figure out how to make it actionable. Because I feel like that's always been a challenge, is not just finding those, but disseminating them so the organization can
And so what we
make
did
use of them.
exactly for that reason, Christina, because we don't want to just collect all this publicly available information and just kind of blast it to the sales team. So what we did was we combined it with our PMM GPT, which was essentially
Okay.
PMMs and the messaging docs that we had written. We fed it all of that. And we said, which of these competitive pieces of information is relevant to our messaging? How much of this overlaps our messaging? Give us insights about any competitors that are either parroting our message or are introducing new features and functionality in this particular area, etc. So the prompt includes all of that. And then it basically says, oh, so and so announced a new application support that App Omni announced 3 months ago. So
Yeah,
it's that sort of thing that's very useful.
Are you linking?
that's awesome.
Competitive web links as well, like their websites along with that? So anything that gets updated on the website also pulls those
Exactly.
information.
Yeah.
That's very cool. Kate, jump in.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just on audio today. Speaking of competitive intel, we use a platform called Clue. I don't know if you guys have heard of Clue. It's KLUE. They also have a win-loss program. So we have our competitive intelligence and our win-loss program tied in together. And they have a new solution we've been beta testing with them for a couple months called Clue Agent, where we put in all of our product information, our value propositions, our key differentiators. Clue uses its tools to continue to take the battle cards that we've built up over the last few years about our competitors, as well as our win-loss information. And it's basically a way for sales or our partner leaders to go in and say, hey, I'm up against competitor X, Y, and Z. How do I position against them? Or what's the latest news on this competitor? Or how do we stack up typically against this type of competitor? Or the customer is asking questions about this. What are the most likely competitors that I'm up against? And it's using all of our custom content that we have filled in based off of our value propositions and product information and our competitive intel program. So that one's a great program. We've had already a ton of success. Like our product marketer that typically answers competitive questions was out on vacation this last week, and sales was able to just go in and ask Clue Agent the questions and got their information real time. So highly recommend you guys take a look at that one. It is a cost because you're leveraging a full platform, but it's been really powerful for us so far.
Kate, what's the output look like? Does it just flow right into another existing tool, or you put all this stuff into it and then where does it go? Because I'm always interested in how these things integrate into the existing flows and things like that.
Yeah, so it integrates with Slack, but it also integrates directly within the web. So if you guys bear with me, I can share my screen real quick. So if I'm looking at this at sales, it's got all of our boards with all of our competitors, which is what we put in publicly. But if you ask Clue, I can say, okay, how do I win against this particular competitor? And it'll answer in the chat, and then it'll give you the sources. So it'll cite whether it's an internal resource or an external resource, like is it a press release that this competitor was up against? Here's our key messaging. You can kind of see that we put our key messaging in. It'll see that this is why we win, a quick dismiss, couple of the key points that you can do. You can have a further conversation. You can copy the information over so a sales rep can use that to inform their presentation. And then it also integrates directly into Slack. So I have the Clue Agent in Slack. Let me type this in real quick.
That's super interesting. I wonder if you can do where we lose against that competitor and feed that information back to product as well.
You absolutely can.
How accurate is it, Kate? Just out of curiosity.
It's super accurate because it doesn't hallucinate, because it's only getting the information that we put into it, and we validate any external sources. So I'll share this, that I asked the Clue Agent directly in Slack, and then it gives me the answer right here in the thread. So sales doesn't even have to leave Slack, which is pretty cool. And the reason that's a great question about the hallucination is we have a product marketer that knows the best of what he needs to do and knows how the key information. So he knows how to vet the information. Then Clue just pulls all of that together and creates a cohesive answer. But the knowledge does come from our team and being able to pull together, okay, this is a valid link about funding our competitor got, or a new product launch or something like that. So that's how we make sure it doesn't hallucinate. And that's why we found that using this tool instead of creating our own custom GPT that goes out and searches the web is a little bit better for us to make sure that it keeps it honest, if you will.
That's incredible.
Yeah,
that's a really cool use case.
Pretty cool use case.
Yeah. Are you finding, I'm so curious about how use cases like that are fundamentally changing some of the secondary systems that we've had? Like, for example, some of the sales knowledge-based systems, we were tucking all that information away somewhere, hoping that it would help us distill this down. And it feels like we don't need those anymore. We keep it in CRM, we keep it in these other documents. And now what we really need is the interface to pull out the what we should go do about it. And it sounds like you're doing that with Clue. So
yeah, because
that's really cool.
Yeah, because exactly to your point, like we've been pulling together our competitive intel program we've been building for years. We have folders and documents and all kinds of stuff. And teaching a salesperson to go dig for that has been,
Ah,
you guys know, it's impossible. Like they will literally
yeah.
take the shortest shortcut ever, even if you present it to them in quick to read, updates and things like that. So what we found is that this really does help kind of pull all the information that we've collected over the years into one singular platform that can be referenced by the LLM. So,
What's the pricing like on Clue?
I'd have to double check what our
Oh,
last
it's okay.
contract was. I think it's something like $50,000 or $100,000 a year for Clue and our win-loss program. So
Okay.
crazy, but you do get what you pay for in terms of, we changed to Clue from another solution. We're definitely getting more out of it.
Kate,
Amazing.
would you say that what you're getting from Clue is not possible to replicate with a custom GPT from, say, Claude or OpenAI?
You probably could. I think the difference though is that we're constantly updating it through validation processes. So if you're in Clue, for example, I can reshare my screen real quick. If you're in Clue, it's pulling like live news right here from all of our competitors, and we screen these and make sure that it's good information. A typical LLM might just pull all that information. Like for example, one of our competitors, their funding profile was updated a couple of days ago with funding information that's 3 years old. And an LLM site would have cited it as recent funding information because the date it posted was recent, but if you actually know what's going on, it was information that was posted that actually happened 3 years ago. And then the win-loss information. So the win-loss up here, I can't show you guys the details of this, but basically when we get surveys that go in on why we won, why we lost, it's automatically fed in to the answers. So it's tied into Salesforce, it's tied into the real surveys that our customers are filling out, and the feedback that the sales team is giving. So you potentially could feed that into a custom GPT or something like that if you really thought about it, but it's helpful because this is all automated. The update process is all automated.
Curious, Kate, how much manual work needs to be done or constantly needs to be done with this? Because it seems like there's a lot of fact checking a lot, even after it finds the information. I'm assuming you have a dedicated person that you mentioned earlier that
We have a product marketer whose primary responsibility is competitive intel, but it's been able to clear him up. So like he's only going in there once a week to validate the information. We've been building this up like the scorecards for a couple of years now. So it does kind of add on to each other. The front end work, like if you're starting from scratch, is probably a bit of a lift depending on how many competitors, how much information you want to validate. But once your positioning is in, all you need to do if you update your positioning is go back into the system and say, hey, this is our old positioning, here's our new positioning, and it'll be able to move forward from there. So depending on how detailed you want to go, we've had a detailed program for years. So we had a bit of a leg up, but there is some manual work because the intelligence piece is still with our human beings and knowing what's relevant, what's not.
fair. Thank you.
It's really cool. Really great share. Thanks. We only have a few minutes left. Anybody have any other examples they want to share? Or any questions for the group? Yeah, go ahead, Pete.
I was just going to say, I mean, I can show that other thing that I did with Zapier and Granola, but I don't know if we want to show that now or use it
Mark, did
another
you have
time.
something too?
Well, I was going to say I can quickly show. I don't know if anyone here is using Exa websets, or if anyone has heard of it, but it's kind of like an alternative to Clay. It's like you can use it as a list building tool. we talked about clay last week. One of the things that's kind of annoying about clay is how brittle it is. So here I can share an example really briefly. So last week or 2 weeks ago, I think we had Zach from Dusty give Saul, who was presenting clay 2 weeks ago, sort of a picture of Dusty Robotics' ICP. They laid it out very nicely. Titles, locations, seniority, responsibility area, etc. And unfortunately, in order to like put all of this information into Clay and build the list, it's extremely tedious. You basically have to copy over each one of these titles and industries and, relevant systems and certifications over one by one. And then it's pretty brittle and pretty unimaginative, let's say. Like it'll look for exact matches essentially with the things that you've uploaded. So you get a list that's maybe smaller, less detailed than what you were hoping for. Exa kind of just solves this problem or bypasses it by letting you just upload your entire ICP as like one lengthy written prompt. And then it's smart enough to know that like if you've listed VP RevOps, as like a title that you're interested in, should also go out and find folks with the title like Vice President of Revenue Operations or something, or Sales Operations, Marketing Operations, etc. And then it's sort of intelligent enough, I guess, to disentangle the different elements of your ICP. It'll go through, build a list off of this, and grade each one of them based off of each of these elements. So whether they're employed at the sorts of companies you've asked for, whether they have the seniority that you've asked for, etc. I can show you. It takes a little while to run. I have one running right now, but it's just like play. This is the list that pops out for the prompt that I was just showing you. Again, it shows you whether it has a match or an unknown for every single one of the variables that you've asked for in your ICP. And then you can ask for emails, locations, all of the normal stuff you get out of Clay. So
Mark,
Does
is
it do
it
some of the signal stuff as well, like searching for the signal information, or is it just for the
not,
list building?
I mean, I haven't tried it out
Okay.
for the signal stuff, so I don't want to quote anything confidently, but my understanding is that it doesn't do some of like the point in time signals processing that Clay does.
Got it.
Mark, what about pricing? I don't know. I mean, Clay has some substantial, I mean, they're like enterprise pricing. Is this priced similarly?
From what I understand, like to get the email enrichments like on a per credit
Yeah.
basis, this is less expensive
Mm.
than Clay. But Clay also integrates with a bunch of email and email validation providers, and Exa, I don't think has those like cascading enrichment flows that you can get out of Clay. So there are definitely drawbacks to it, I think. Anyway, I just thought
Cool.
I'd show it.
Wonderful.
Extruct is another tool that you can use for just company intelligence. So it doesn't like build you a list, but if you have a list of accounts that you're interested in, you can ask for literally anything in Extruct and it'll try to go out and find it. It did not find the hobbies
CEO
of
hobby.
Clarity's CEO, but like if you ask for like what are recent events that Clarity, one of the
Yeah,
companies in our portfolio, hosted in San Francisco, it'll go out and find that information and populate it in tabular form. And it's really good. They released some benchmarks about how it performs on its sort of account research versus Clay and Exa, and it's pretty remarkable. So I would check out Extruct as well. I'll
that's
put the
cool.
links in Discord.
You gotta love when they just change one letter to make the company name.
Yes.
Struct. That's amazing. Well, we are slightly over time. Thank you guys for joining, and thank you for all the
Thank
great
you.
use cases and insights and questions. This was, I think, one of our best discussions yet. So thanks everyone for being a part of this community and for contributing.
Thanks for
See you next
hosting.
time.